Newsroom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Tuesday, July 2, 2025, and I'm Shemon Dia. That's July 1, 2025, and I'm Shemon Dia presenting. In the headlines, President Joseph Wakai nominated Associate Justice Yami Gbese as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speedy confirmation. Prosecuting lawyers demand recusal of outgoing Chief Justice Shannon Yu from former Finance Minister Samuel Toy and four others' corruption case, says she lacks legal standing to hear any new case. And also in the news, National Custom Brokers of Liberia claims national legislature passage of Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for exporters, importers, and shipping lines. Away from home, civic rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed during the crackdown on protesters who are calling for Togo's leader to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cafe frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. This was a news bulletin. Voices of those making the news. But our package will take a short break to be right back. Welcome back. At this juncture, we join the birthday man Sam Andrews with the news bulletin.
President Joseph Boakai has nominated Chief Justice Yami Gbese as Chief Justice. That's Yami Gbese as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, as the Liberian leader called on the Senate to speedily consider and confirm the nominee. Justice Gbese, age 66, is poised to replace outgoing Chief Justice Sanin Yo, who reached the constitutional age of 70 on June 26, as provided by Article 72B of the 1986 Constitution. President Boakai, in a letter addressed to Senate Pro Tem Yombli Kanga Lawrence, described Justice Gbese as a distinguished jurist who has demonstrated exemplary integrity, profound legal acumen, and commitment to upholding the rule of law and the Constitution. According to an Executive Mansion release issued late Monday, Associate Justice Gbese, if confirmed, will mark a continuation of his long-standing judicial service and dedication to the Liberian legal system. The release added that the nomination was made in accordance with Article 54C of the Constitution, which grants the President the authority to appoint the Chief Justice, Associate Justices, and Justices of Judges of subordinate courts. Additionally, the nomination aligns with Article 72B of the Constitution, which mandates the retirement of justices upon reaching the age 70. The prosecuting lawyers are seeking the recusal of outgoing Chief Justice Shannon Yo from ex-Finance and Development Planning Minister Samuel Toy and four others' corruption on Tuesday, July 1, before the full bench of the Supreme Court. According to our judicial correspondent, on Monday, the High Court confirmed that prosecuting lawyers' request for the Chief Justice to step down from defendant Toy and others' case was contained in a motion of continuance to the court. Our judicial correspondent says state lawyers' motion for delay, among other things, claimed that Chief Justice Yo lacks the legal standing to hear any new case or cases after reaching the retirement age of 70 on June 26. They maintain that she retires on June 26 as provided by Article 72B of the Constitution of Liberia, and as such, she is unfit to assign or hear any new cases before June 26. Article 72B states the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court and judges of subordinate courts of record shall be retired at the age of 70. It further states a justice and associates of the Supreme Court may continue in office for as long as may be necessary to enable him to render judgment or perform any other judicial duty in regard to proceedings entertained by him before he attained that age. The University of Liberia has announced plans to offer master's and PhD programs in gender and security studies. In an official release issued Monday, the university disclosed that programs aim at providing advanced academic and professional opportunities for individuals working or aspiring to work in gender and security-related fields. According to the university, the programs will be officially launched on June 10 and will be housed under the College of Gender Studies and Interdisciplinary Research. The release added that the program will foster research and dialogue around gender equality, human rights, and national and global security challenges. Meanwhile, as part of the launch activities, the University of Liberia has scheduled an inaugural lecture which will serve as a platform to introduce academic framework and highlight the importance of gender-sensitive approach in security studies, amongst others. The Liberia Council of Churches has challenged the Bwaka government to ensure a holistic fight against the act of corruption and respect every citizen's rights regardless of being accused of corruption. The Secretary General of the Liberia Council of Churches, Reverend Christopher Toole, said the council is aware of recent legal actions involving former and current government officials over allegations of corruption and other offenses. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Reverend Toole noted that a body rooted in faith, justice, and peace, the council would at all times speak with clarity, care, and conviction. He noted that despite the Liberia Council of Churches supports the government's duty to fight corruption and ensure justice, such must be done with absolute fairness. Reverend Christopher Toole further maintained that every person accused is innocent until proven guilty, adding that the government is under obligation to treat everyone with dignity and respect. The Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force has confirmed the discovery of more than 14 new suspected corruption cases across Liberia. The institution's latest disclosure followed days after the arrest of former Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Kimaya and several other former officials of the WIA administration accused of allegedly misappropriating over 25,000 bags of 25 kg rice intended for vulnerable Liberians. Speaking on state radio, the chairman of the task force, Councillor Edwin Martin, disclosed that the cases range from theft of government properties to diversion of public funds for personal gain. He stated that the task force has gathered substantial evidence linking the suspects to what he described as a systematic looting of national resources. Councillor Martin further revealed that 26 active cases of alleged public theft are currently under investigation. He emphasized that the arrests are imminent and those found culpable will face the full weight of the law. The Assets Recovery Team chairman reiterated that the anti-corruption drive is non-discriminatory, contrary to some public perception. He reaffirmed his team's commitment to ensuring that all individuals involved in depriving the nation of its resources and property are to be brought to justice, thus emphasizing the government's commitment to upholding accountability. Steel giant ArcelorMittal Liberia is expected to appear before the House of Representatives Joint Committees on Investment and Concession today for formal concession compliance. The House of Representatives, among other things, is requesting ArcelorMittal Liberia to present a comprehensive financial report covering its operations in Liberia over the past 5 years. According to the House Bureau of Press and Public Affairs, the hearing is being organized in collaboration with the Committees on Lands, Mines, Energy, Natural Resource, Environment, and Labor. The hearing will focus on ArcelorMittal Liberia compliance of its Mineral Development Agreement. Recently, there has been mounting public calls after Nima County Legislative Caucus accused ArcelorMittal Liberia of falling short on key components of its Mineral Development Agreement. Nima County Senator Yan Twen, who made the allegations, vowed to lead an uncompromising campaign against ArcelorMittal Liberia to ensure the company lives up to its Mineral Development Agreement and remain compliant of its social corporate responsibility. Nima County District 7 Representative Musa Ability publicly backed Senator Yan Twen stands against ArcelorMittal and called on individuals who are members of the caucus to avoid interfering in concerns raised by the caucus, which reflects the interest of the locals. The National Custom Broker of Liberia has sharply criticized the national legislature recent passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act. Addressing the press conference Monday, NCBL President James Hine accused the legislature of passing the act without seeking the knowledge or participation of business, including stakeholders that are essential to Liberian trade. Mr. Hine questioned the motive behind the passage, pointing out that Section 306 of the act, which introduces additional fees that will directly burden importers, exporters, and shipping lines, among others. According to Hine, the government is using the legislation to introduce new financial burden for businesses rather than alleviating the challenges faced with across the country. The chief executive officer at Cable Consortium has offered to provide 1 month long career training for young adults in the United Methodist Church. Nathaniel Kevin said the training is necessary because it will assist the youth in preparing for the future as they will head the church and the country in the absence of the current generation. Mr. Kevin made the offer of 1 month long career training for youth of the United Methodist Church when he was honored as Father of the Year. The African Media Network, in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network, has called on the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the outgoing management team at the Liberia Agriculture, Commodity and Regulatory Authority in order to ascertain the reasons behind their suspension by President Joseph Boakai. The executive director of the network, Prince Grando, said it is surprising to see that the managing director and his deputy for administration suspended by President Boakai just 3 weeks after he praised them for being the best performing agency, and that it is worrisome. Addressing the press conference in Monrovia, Mr. Grando pointed out that the speedy investigation of LACRA is needed so as to clear their names and determine they did not embezzle any form from the entity. Last month, President Boakai praised LACRA management team, including Christopher Sankolo, Director General, and his Deputy Director General, Chie Gali, for being the best performing entity of government. The Director of Communication at the National Food Assistance Agency, Webster Young, is calling on parents to double up their roles in the upbringing of their children, stating that there are a lot of things resulting to children going astray. According to him, parents must be able to play a role worthy of emulating in order to bring the children up in a way that will benefit the community and country. Mr. Yan made the assertion when he delivered the keynote speech marking the graduation of Meritier Elementary and Junior High School in Town, Breville. At the end of the program, 4 ninth graders and 30 kindergarten students were awarded certificates for successfully completing the requirements of the institution and those of the Ministry of Education. And a Liberian businessman, Koli Gege, has emphasized the importance of government investing in early childhood education, describing it as foundational step toward national development. Serving as guest speaker at Nimland Brothers Preparatory School on Bushro Island, Gege called on parents and guardians to prioritize their children's education over material things. According to him, children represent the future of every society. Therefore, they must be equipped through quality education to meaningfully contribute to national growth and transformation. He also cautioned against the growing trend of purchasing seasonal material items for children as gifts, noting that those gifts only provide temporary satisfaction, but do little to prepare young people for the reality of life. Colley at the same time urged Liberians to rethink their spending priorities and redirect their resources towards the children's academic future, terming education as the most valuable inheritance.
News bulletin with St. Andrews is a regular feature on King's News. A reminder you listen to King's News Room for the 5 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories following this afternoon, President Joseph Whitehead nominated Associate Justice Yemi Blissey as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speedy confirmation. Prosecuted lawyers demand the accused of outroaring Chief Justice Yanek Yo from former Finance Minister Sandy Nko and 4 others corruption case said she lacked legal standing to get any sentences. And also in the news, National Custom Brokers of Liberia claims National Legislature passage of Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for exporters, importers, and shipping lines. We'll take a break. We'll be back with voices. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The National Custom Brokers of Liberia has sharply criticized the National Legislature recent passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act. Addressing a press conference Monday, NCBL President James Heaney accused the legislature of passing the act without seeking the knowledge or participation of businesses, including stakeholders that are essential to Liberian trade. In a question, the motive behind the passage, pointing out that Section 306 of the Act, which introduces additional fees, will directly burden importers, exporters, shipping lines, among others.
The National Custom Brokers Association of Liberia, the NCBAL, would like to express deep shock and disappointment regarding the recent passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act by the National Legislature. This critical legislation was passed without the knowledge or participation of the businesses that are essential to the Liberian trade. Stakeholder consultation is a cornerstone of sound, inclusive policy making. The absence of such engagement not only undermines confidence in the legislative process, but also raises serious concern about the sustainability and effectiveness of the law itself. We wonder if the motive is genuine. We are particularly alarmed by Section 306 of the Act, which introduces additional fees that will directly burden importers, exporters, shipping lines, and ultimately the Liberian consumer. Below are our specific concerns regarding key provisions. Section 3061. The agency shall determine and collect regulatory fees from stakeholders for continual port development. The imposition of additional fees at each seaport will heighten transaction costs for businesses, placing an increased financial burden on stakeholders. There shall be a fee for each arriving sea craft paid over the agency. New vessel charges will likely discourage ship owners from bringing their ships to Liberia, resulting in fewer vessels and increased freight rates. Section 3064. The agency shall collect charges from port operations and other entities necessary for financing the agency budget. This provision, which requires Liberia businesses to form the budget of another government entity, contradicts efforts aimed at lowering the cost of doing business in Liberia.
Is James Hinen, president of the National Custom Broker of Liberia. The Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force have confirmed the discovery of more than 40 new suspected corruption cases across Liberia. The institution's latest disclosure followed this after the arrest of former Foreign Minister D. Maxwell Kimia and several other former officials of the Wiale government, accused of allegedly misappropriating over 25,000 bags of 25 kg rice intended for vulnerable Liberians. Speaking on State Radio Monday, the chairman of the task force, Councillor Edward Mountain, disclosed that the cases range from theft of government properties to the diversion of public funds for personal gain.
We have identified 40 suspicious properties. We are now evaluating the sold. We are evaluating the owners because we're also going to detail here, tell you what obtained and how the properties were gotten. Some people will jump in the street, but we won't do that. The outcome of our investigation will be shown to the Liberian people. And we're made to also even say that some of the bank accounts that we have identified, the millions of United States dollars that are part, the Liberian people will jump in the street. But we wouldn't say that until the results and the subsequent legal process ensued. But by and large, I'm really trying to say that there's a strange thing in our country that the president initiated. It has never happened before. Facing stolen assets is a strange thing in our country. And this public forum is to make the Liberian people to understand and to comprehend that what we are doing it in the interest of the country. I'm taking serious risk with my life. I'm taking risk for the life of my family because of the country. The job that we do, highly risky job. But because of the country, and we believe that someone has to make the sacrifice. Or not make the sacrifice for someone to take my life, but someone has to make the sacrifice, at least for history to remember that, look, our part of the process to transform Liberia from this point to this point. And when you work in anti-corruption terrain, it gives you a third eye to see. What I would see in this country when it comes to corruption investigation, you will not have to, because we are trained. We had the opportunity to be trained in West Africa and in some part of Paris, and even went to the UK to have the opportunity. So where I'm seated personally, I think I'm properly situated to understand and to bring to light and to set a checkpoint and to establish deterrence for the prevention of corruption and the prevention of stolen public access.
Councillor Edward Mountain is the chairperson of the Asset Recovery and Retrieval Property Retrieval Task Force. The Liberia Council of Churches has challenged the Bwaka government to ensure a holistic fight against acts of corruption and respect every citizen's rights regardless of being accused of corruption. Secretary General of the Liberia Council of Churches, Reverend Christopher Toll, said the council is aware of recent legal actions involving former and current government officials over allegations of corruption and other offenses. Bring you that, except in our subsequent newscast. The African Media Network, in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network, has called on the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the outgoing management team at the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority in order to ascertain the reasons behind their suspension by President Joseph Boakai. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Prince Grando pointed out that the speedy investigation by the LACC is needed so as to clear the names and determine the finding.
We have gathered here today to address the recent developments surrounding the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority and its Director General, Mr. Christopher D. Sangolo, as well as his Deputy Director General for Administration and Finance, Mr. Chie D. Gali. I'm there in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network of Liberia, expresses strong concern over the suspension of Mr. Christopher Sankoro, Director General of the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority, LACRA for short, on allegation of financial irregularity. As many of you are aware, including you members of the press, President Joseph Boakai Sr. earlier this month awarded LACRA 2 distinct certificates, barely 3 weeks after the award. Especially in this light, we note that this suspension was enacted without a credible audit report. We consider it as very harsh, and the action was very excessive. We urge the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to conduct a thorough, transparent, and prompt investigation into the allegation against Mr. Sangolo, record at LACRA. We believe it provides an opportunity for him to be clear of the reported allegation.
Is Prince Grando there speaking. A reminder, you listen to King's Newsbone, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories will follow in this afternoon. President Joseph Boakai nominates Associate Justice Jemmy Bisi as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speedy confirmation. Prosecuting lawyers demand recuse of outgoing Chief Justice Shannon Yo from former Finance Minister Samuel Toya and 4 others' corruption case, says she lacks legal standing to hear any new case. National Custom Brokers of Liberia attempts National Legislature passage of Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for exporters, importers, and shipping lines. Away from homes, civic rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who are calling for Togo's leader to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cafe frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in Western Gaza on Monday. We'll take a break to continue with more voices, including our 5 news. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The Chief Executive Officer at the Cable Consortium has offered to provide 1-month-long career training for young adults in the United Methodist Church this year. Nathaniel Kelvin said the training is necessary because it will assist the youth in preparing for the future as they will head the church and the country in the absence of the current generation.
To you today is that in the month of August, I'm going to take 22 days in the month of August, and every youth and young adults in the United Methodist Church or outside of the United Methodist Church, we will assemble each day. We will cater to our youth and our young adults. Those 22 days are going to bring devotions, Bible studies, career path, sporting events. We're going to keep our young people, the future of this church, the future of this country. If we don't start to recognize that fact, they will cross the street. Think about it. And when they do, it costs you more to bring them back. I want to challenge all the fathers of this year, and if possible, subsequent years, that we dedicate the August month as mentorship month. I'm trying now to negotiate for J.J. Robert High School, because they're on vacation, for us to have this 22-day program, Monday to Friday. We're going to bring career professionals, ministers, gospel ministers, health practitioners to talk to our young people. Anything from how you prevent illnesses, how to be healthy. We're going to keep them together so that they can know when they look at each other, they see, you will be my partner when I become a president of this country tomorrow. That's what we need to do.
Voice of Nathaniel Kelvin. The Director of Communication at the National Food Assistance Agency, Webster Yan, is calling on parents to double up their roads in the upbringing of their children, stating that there are a lot of things resulting to children going astray. According to him, parents must be able to play the role worthy of emulating in order to bring their children in the way that will benefit the community and the country at large. Yan made a section when he delivered a keynote speech marking the graduation and closing program of the Mary Tia Elementary and Junior High in town in Bannersville.
We all have a role to play in the education of our children. Just as how we expect our students to come out with flying colors to make us proud, we ourselves owe it to ourselves to play our part. All that is displayed here today before our eyes is a feedback that we should get, and then we put in corrective measures if there's anything that we're not satisfied with. And for the future to bring something good for our school-board children, we have to play our role. The parents, those of us parents, we know that the students have just small time to be in the classroom. You students will have few hours to be in the classroom. And after the classroom, you go back to your home. And it is the duty of us parents to guide them. You know, because the education we want to get, education centers around skill acquisition. You get skill. Education centers around knowledge, and education centers around character traits. These three things I'm talking about. It is our duty as parents to also contribute to the upbringing of our children. As we got a character trait, it's part of education. You know, today most of our big people that get master's degree, that get BSc, they don't have place to work, largely because a part of the education that is important to them, which you have gotten, they didn't get it.
Webster Yan is the Director of Communications at the National Food Assistance Agency. At the same time, 11 businessman Koli Gege has emphasized the importance of government invested in early childhood education, describing it as a foundational step toward national development. According to Gege, children represent the future of every society. Therefore, they must be equipped through quality education to meaningfully contribute to national growth and transformation.
This message is not just going to the students. This message is also going to our parents. Please bring up the child in a way where especially in this dispensation that person will not be a burden to you. You will have no exercise. Rather, so they can be in heaven in your early days. That particular sacrifice start now. So keep moving forward as a parent. Keep moving. Keep talking to your child. Keep talking to your children to acquire private education. Only education can take you to where your parents have never been. Education is pointless. Anyone can go to carry anyone. If you have acquired education today in a period, you don't have to carry books like your brother. You have learned from while you are serving as a student. What with the knowledge acquired through your high school journey, you can serve the country in the world as one who has acquired private education in a period. Education has to keep learning, keep moving forward, keep expressing the independence when it comes to education in our country. With that, Liberia will be a better place. We not use foreign nationals to come and have educational knowledge to be imparted in our children of tomorrow. Today, we are here speaking. Tomorrow we may be able to speak to the conscience of you. So my advice for you as a child, follow the footsteps of Mr. Gege, who give up as an offering right here at Tower Junction, so go water, so fatty bread, at the time fatty bread is to be $20. Each $100 gives me $20 for it on the Tower Road. And I didn't see that part of life to be difficult because I never have mother, I never have father. But independently, of course, I come to a meaningful society. In Liberia, you can never make yourself meaningful. You will never be spoken about. No one will explain your story anywhere that you cannot make yourself meaningful. So please, not waste your time because you don't have people to support you. You can support yourself in whatever endeavor that you want to support yourself in. With that, you can succeed and be whatever person you want to be.
He's Koli Gege, a young Liberian entrepreneur. Away from home, civic rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who are calling for Togo's leader to step down and release political prisoners. 7 bodies were recovered from the rivers in the capital city, Lomé, according to a coalition called from Silatoye, Togo Debut, which accused the security forces and militias of committing abuses. The Togolese government has denied these deaths were linked to last week's demonstrations. It is now threatening legal action against the protest organizers, calling the protest a campaign of disinformation and hatred that was orchestrated from abroad. And at least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cafe, frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday. Rescue teams evacuated 20 bodies and dozens wounded from a Bakwa cafeteria, an outdoor venue which consists of tents along the beach. A spokesperson for Gaza Hamas run defense or civic defense told the BBC. He added the emergency crews were still searching through a deep craft left by the explosion. Well, on that note, that's how we come to a near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. President Joseph Boakai nominates Associate Justice Yami Gbese as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, calls on the Senate to conduct speedy confirmation. Prosecuting lawyers demand recusal of outgoing Associate Chief Justice Yanen Yu from former Finance Minister Samuel Twe and 4 others corruption case, says she lacks legal standing to hear any new case. You also heard in the news, National Custom Brokers of Liberia thanks National Legislature passage of Liberian Sea and Inland Food Regulatory Act. as direct burden for importers, exporters, and shipping lines. Away from home, civic rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who are calling for Togo leaders to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cafe frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. This newscast is dedicated to St. Andrew's, the birthday celebrant. The management and staff of King's event say happy God bless birthday to you. I'm Shamodale. I present it. Thanks for listening and watching.